Oh, we're live. Hi, people. Matt is here. So give me a second so we can introduce each other.
Oh,
Matthew,
wow! That timing!
he just got here at time. Hello. We just started the episode. My name is Ibrahim Flores, and you may be wondering why is this guy hosting right now at this time, at this hour? And you may be wondering all those things. I'm saying you why because I'm the one that has nobody to talk about this show. So I asked my dear friends in Take Three Productions, Manning and Matthew Kearns, the great Matthew Kearns, the man Kearns, the guy that lives with a frog and a guy that kills somebody, to do a review. So I'm going to introduce them right now. To my left of my screen is Matthew Kearns. Matt, how are you doing?
Could be doing better. I do have one question, Abe. Why are you doing this live and not just pre-recorded? What the fuck is that, man? Come
Because I don't
on.
want to edit shit. I haven't edited shit like in 50 years now.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, Abe was
50
hired on this
years.
channel to be the editor, and then we started doing literally everything live. So that's why Abe is hosting.
It's become
You
so
know,
much more.
this fucker. Yeah, no. Just here to talk about Wandavision. I honestly forgot for a second what the hell we were doing. I'm like, it's Friday, but it's not late night. If you hear any jingling, it is this, which is my Malcolm Reynolds dog tags. I'm holding them for personal reasons. So, yeah. So if you hear anything throughout, that's what it is. Don't ask me why, anyone watching, because I won't tell you.
And now, yeah, I forgot I was hosting.
Come
You
on,
gotta
you're the
repeat
host,
the
I
Abe.
didn't know I was supposed to have a fun nickname. You guys all have fun nicknames. I just
okay,
It was
okay.
literally a last minute thing. Sorry, Abe, you're the host.
The man, the legend. The guy has seen dead bodies all over South Carolina, or
N-
North
I'm
Jesus.
from
Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, I'm
From that guy.
offended. We are not from South Carolina. No offense, South
Hey,
Carolina, but I am North Carolina, sir.
Manning, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes.
What do you think about Cam Newton signing a new deal with the Patriots to play next year with them?
The
Uh,
Patriot? Who the fuck cares?
I mean, as someone who doesn't really care for the Patriots, I'm kind of like, why, Cam? You betrayed us. But at the same time, you know what? Good on you, Cam. You were a underutilized quarterback, and you had great talent. And was this your best last year? No. But I'm also just kind of pulling things out of thin air because I don't really watch football, so I'm just kind of regurgitating what the people at my news station are saying.
Okay, so this is the thing. We're gonna talk. I kidded you. We're gonna talk all about a preview of NFL free agency. So we're
Oh
gonna go over the
no!
quarterbacks, the
All
trades,
right,
and
thanks for having me. I appreciate
Good,
it.
good.
okay.
I would just like to get this out of the way then. Fuck Tom Brady. Overpaid piece of shit that got sacked so many times. And guess what? Eli kicked his ass twice. Every time they play in the Super Bowl, Eli walked
I
away with the
did.
rings and the MVP. So fuck Tom Brady.
That's true. I don't know where Manning got those headphones so far, but that was a nice transition. I see you do it. You think I didn't notice? But we're gonna go with the old review or great review. We're 4 minutes in, and we haven't mentioned one division the whole time. So
Nope.
Matt, I'm gonna ask you a simple question.
Okay.
Overall thoughts about the series. Like, give me what you think, how you feel, and everything, and then we're gonna go on. And I actually took notes for some of the episodes, and I'm gonna ask you some tough questions, you two guys. I'm gonna question your reality, like one that did hers.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
Matthew,
Okay,
give us the
so
floor.
my overall thoughts on the series were I was pretty intrigued by it because I just in my own personal life I watch a lot of old TV that's mostly I mean I watch newer TV but I mostly am watching like older shows like that. So I just kind of like the concept of the show from the start that each episode was going to be like a different decade of TV. I thought the attention to detail by Marvel to where I mean, you've obviously seen if you go on YouTube, you see to where they compare like the opening of the Dick Van Dyke Show or Bewitched or something to the WandaVision and how close they got. But it was great how there were just even before we got, I think it was episode 4, and when we finally got the backstory of everything, it was great that you still had these little moments in there. Um, And yeah, and just once you got that backstory, I loved the split between the TV world and the real world. I thought that was great. I thought the reintroduction of characters like Jimmy Woo and Kat Dennings from previous movies was really well done. Overall, I thought it was a great series. I think that post-credit scene in the finale definitely makes it feel like we're not done with this storyline yet. And Catherine Hahn she's the fucking goat. I mean, I've known that since Step Brothers, but if there's nothing else about this show, I'm glad so many people now know the amazingness of Catherine Hahn as an actress.
Okay, so this is the thing. Catherine Han is the one that's fucking John C. Riley's character in Step Brothers.
Yeah. Stay gold,
Okay,
pony
yeah,
boy.
yeah, that's a great movie. And
By
yes,
the way, talking about stuff like that, we will say this throughout the course of the show. Give Elizabeth Olsen her goddamn Emmy for this show already. Do it.
definitely put it off. So
Please
now,
give her a nomination
before-
at least.
before I give my overall thoughts, I want to ask you a question. You should put wanting Maximoff. So it's WM like Wanda Maximoff on your
That's
tag.
clever. That's
Yeah,
that's
of
that,
course.
that's.
Of course. Okay.
Do I have to pay you royalties?
Maybe
Not
I-
at all, but give me your overall thoughts about the series, how you felt watching it, especially the fifth episode. Tell me, what do you think about the fifth episode? Just kidding. Just give me overall thoughts.
I was saying that's oddly specific. The fifth episode after we had that fourth episode, which also, by the way, another fantastic episode in my humble opinion, because that kind of gave us a little extent of what happened in the aftermath of
The snap.
yeah, that was fourth episode great, and the fifth episode also. I will say, Matt gave a really interesting point by saying he liked how things started to become the split back and forth between the reality and Wanda's reality, which, or should we say, Wanda's vision of reality.
We have
Dear
jokes.
old-
Damn it.
Jokes, you know?
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, so anyway, I think this is a breath of fresh air for Marvel. We've basically had a year break from all things Marvel, and I think this was the best thing possible that could happen for its IP. Marvel, and I could be wrong, people could be clamoring for it right now, but I needed a break from all that after Infinity War, or Endgame, excuse me. And this was a perfect little tea. Someone was pouring my tea, and it's like, yes, let me. This is what Marvel tastes like. This is what really, really excellent Marvel TV tastes like. I think this was a perfect blending of classic TV, because they kept, if you go back to, I'm not sure if people watched Assembled yet. I'm only halfway through. That's the making of the WandaVision.
I didn't even know what that. Yeah. Huh.
Came out today.
Well, I was working most of the day.
Right. Well, if you get a chance, I highly recommend it, because there's a lot of great behind the scenes things about how they made this into this was like the first episode, an homage to the Dick Van Dyke Show. Second episode, an homage to Bewitched. Third episode, homage to was it Full House, or was it
It was just 80s TV in general, because the opening was a combination of Family Ties and Growing Pains. Their outfits were very Roseanne inspired, so it felt very like they kind of just that one they
It was
just
an
mashed
amalgamation.
all the 80s and 90s together, because there really was no 90s. There was no like Seinfeld episode or Friends.
I mean, they had like, because when did Malcolm in the Middle come out?
That was
Wasn't
2000s.
That was
like
2000s.
I think it was like 99.
Late 90s. It was like, it felt
Way
like the
longer.
late 90s.
But it was definitely, it got its stride in the 2000s. So it was,
Yeah.
but I can find the exact year that it came.
Abe, can you
2000.
I'm looking that up right now. 2000.
What?
It started in 2000. Yeah. So
Abe,
What?
can you put yourself up a little bit more? You're very low.
Hi, hello, good morning. Really? No, I cannot
Really
do
low.
anything.
I hear him fine.
Okay, wonder why it's lower for me. Keep going. Anyway, no. As I was saying about this series, I think this is just a wonderful series that kind of it plays a great. I love it when shows can play with tonal shifts wonderfully, and this is an example of a series on and that Marvel has under its belt now that can beautifully toe the line between comedic moments, but also has something deeper underneath rather than just just comedy or just action. This has a wonderful representation of what grief is, a wonderful understanding of how people deal with, the complexity of just oneself. And it deals a lot also with the character of Wanda Maximoff, who I think is not anymore. I thought she was criminally underutilized because she is a fascinating character in the comics, and they really managed to do that and bring it to full fruition. And they really utilized Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany as the Vision, I think, in a wonderful way that made this a series worth going back and watching. And I'll go into a little detail, but can I just say, I kept waiting to hear every single week those intros because those were just, they were so much fun. Props to Christopher Beck and who are the other two people? They did the Frozen music.
That Lopez. I don't know.
Yes.
Adele Dazeem?
No, not Adele Dazeem.
No.
Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who did the Frozen music, they did the actual series, and they were apparently approached by Shackman to.
Shaq was a part of this show? I didn't know that.
Shaq.
Why was he not in it?
They had he referenced the coolest thing. Yes, he can't do that, so but anyway, he referenced Too Many Cooks. Have those who've seen that wonderful Adult Swim video? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, that's great too.
He referenced that to them, and they're like, "We're on board." I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was really amazing. I literally just found that out like 30 minutes ago, and I was just loving it. I'm sorry.
So where's the cat pushing the button to end the universe?
We were all the cat.
I guess so.
I don't know what I'm doing hosting this show, so I'm just gonna let the conversation.
Once again, I said because you haven't edited anything in like 7 years, we're getting our money's worth out of you.
I don't get paid shit.
Yeah, none of us do.
Hey
guys, watching, let us know if you would support us on a Patreon. We can't offer you anything, but would you give us money?
We cannot offer you
get
anything.
Quality content like this. No behind the scenes, because nothing happens behind the scenes.
No offense, Matt, but Manning is a very attractive man. We're gonna open That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open.
You know what, guys? If you support Patreon, Vinny and Kermit will start a Patreon-only podcast. Their drunken rants will be recorded.
Okay.
Who would want to listen to that? I listen to it every night. It's great. Do you want to know Kermit's thoughts? He's part of the Disney family. He might have some thoughts on WandaVision. Do you want me to go and get him?
Does he have thoughts on his rendition of The Masked Singer?
Okay,
He does. He's been talking about that.
Can you just give me a second to give my thoughts, and you can go get Kermit, please?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You give your thoughts, and Kermit will get himself ready.
Okay, guys. So overall, I thought the show was fantastic. As Manning said, it was like a break we needed, I guess, for the MCU. But once the series go rolling, it just get me like, I know why I love this character so much, and I think it's the most important, the most phenomenal thing about the Marvel movies is whatever you think about the quality of the films overall, the characters are the most important. I think Kevin Feige has said in interviews, like if you care about the characters, you can go through whatever kind of journey with them, as flawed as they can be and everything. And that's what WandaVision is. It was like whole developmental of both Vision and Wanda as characters in the MCU. Uh, I really love Elizabeth Olsen. I don't. The whole internet has praised her the last 9 weeks on Twitter. Like truly, she's amazing. Like how she acts in it. She how do you call it? She out acts everybody. I think in every scene she's seen, like she's the best actress on screen.
I would argue with Paul Bettany. Like they held each other's own, but yeah, go on.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I never seen Paul Bettany. Like I never thought about Paul Bettany as a leading man. Usually when I see him in film, he's usually a supporting character. But my god, he just crushes. Like he has the comedic moments, He's the straight face, and he in his Vision and Heroes usually don't get the comedic moments because that's for the Ant-Mans, the Iron Mans, the top line, whatever you want to say, and they truly deliver as an actress, and I do think they should get an Emmy. I don't watch that many TV, but when I saw Elizabeth Olsen acting anytime, she should get an Emmy, and we're gonna campaign for her. In addition, I thought the show looked beautiful. Like, like the way they adapt this shit. I don't have as much knowledge in sitcoms as you guys because I didn't grow up with them. You know, Mexican. I know what telenovelas. I don't know what sitcoms. You want to talk about Maria La del Barrio? We can talk about it, but I cannot talk about I Love Lucy or anything else. I have no idea. I only knew about Mock because they're still putting that on TV in Mexico. If you want to believe it or not, watched so many times. But I truly like the show. I thought it was they put it off. I think it has its flaws, and that's what I wanna go overall. Like, what do you don't like about the show, Manny? Like, what do you think things that
Well, do
could
you
be
want to get
better?
Kermit's thoughts before we start getting into what we don't
Of
like?
course, I forgot
Okay,
that. That's
let me go
why.
get him.
That's why
Give me
I don't forget.
1 second
He's
to
gonna go for the
Lord.
frog,
wake his
and
drunk
Manny.
ass up.
Yeah, and Manning, you have one question for Kermit. Only one question, and I have one in one. So
Oh,
please prepare that question. You're gonna
oh,
ask Kermit one question.
okay.
Next to
All right. Okay.
okay. I'm putting it on the spot. I know you are a quality human being. I like you a lot. You're my
Thank
co-host, but I'm not your co-host, right? And I'm
you. You
keeping
are.
you. Yeah, we co-host. Well, I don't host the Gone with the Wind, but you can watch Gone with the Wind someday.
Oh,
Okay.
How did you find that? How did you have that
ah,
picture? Manny?
I'm here. Oh, God. What? Oh,
Hello,
yeah, WandaVision.
Kermit.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus, and I have a show. So they're giving me
Hey,
money again.
Kermit. Kermit.
Yeah.
Kermit.
Uh,
Kermit. Kermit. Be
I was
quiet.
pissed off
Give me
there
a
were no
second.
Muppets. Fuck you, Disney. You don't want us to work, I guess.
He definitely is drunk.
Uh,
Okay. Okay,
shut up.
Kermit. I need you to be be cool, man. Be cool right now. Manning is gonna ask you a question, and I need you to answer as honestly as possible.
Okay,
Manning, give us that
just don't
special
ask about
question.
Miss Piggy in bed because she's terrible.
No, Manning, please ask the question that you've been preparing for the last 8 months since I
Eight
told you
months.
Kermit is gonna be on the
I
show.
have.
Yes.
It has been 8 months that I've been asking this question. Kermit, are you ready? Good. So for WandaVision, when you were preparing for your scenes in
Uh,
WandaVision, when you made that surprise cameo at the very end and taught Scarlet Witch how to be a sorcerer supreme, where did you take your inspiration from? Where did you find that deep within your
I
soul
took
to do that?
look, I took it from that, it was a doctor friend of mine named, Dr. Jack, Daniels, just down the bottom of that, and I was like, "Hey, one day you're gonna be a sorcerer." Hey! Mickey tried to, because of that Fantasia shit that no one's seen. He was like, I'll be the sorcerer's apprentice. I was like, Mickey, why don't you, go fuck off because no one likes you. So, yeah, Elizabeth Olsen owes me money.
Thank you. I yield the floor.
You're not welcome.
Kermit, I have a question for you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I think you're a great man.
Uh,
But
yeah.
where's Miss Piggy?
Look, Miss Piggy and me, when this whole quarantine started, we made a very wise choice to quarantine separately because, let's just say this, by this point, I would have had a lot of bacon.
Okay, that's all. Kermit, you can leave now. So,
Okay, I'm, I'm out. Yeah, everybody watch the Muppets on, Disney Plus and not WandaVision.
I do need to watch the Muppets.
Alright, bye,
okay.
Kermit.
So, guys, we're gonna start to
Yeah,
the
I'm good.
serious part of the show where I actually did some homework and watched
Oh wow!
the
I
episode.
totally forgot.
And
I'm signed into the Take Three account, so I have the power
Oh,
to do whatever the hell I want.
well, I guess I have the power to. Yeah.
We
and
both
I
have the
have
power.
uh,
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have the
Mom, Dad,
power.
please stop fighting.
I can sign out, Abe, if
No,
you want me
no,
to.
you're good. You're good. You're good. Okay.
Okay.
So I took notes. So please
Okay.
appreciate my note taking ability.
Please.
So the whole show starts with this sitcom introduction and everything, right? And we have these beautiful songs that Manning has commented on that. Uh, Matt, do you want to say anything about the songs? Like, the whole opening to the series and everything? Like
No,
how they start really
I
put you
think
into the mood to watch those kind of
it's
moments.
a fantastic recreation of all those TV show intros. And I think just those just as the intros and then the music throughout the actual series. I mean, the MCU has been known for having incredible soundtracks. Dating all the way back to First Avenger, which I believe was Alan Silvestri. So they
Oh,
just got a track record for having insanely good music.
very
So
solid
it,
one.
it didn't shock me, and I'm happy this being the first Disney Plus series. I was going to say the first Marvel series, but Agents of Shield beats it.
Well, it's well,
Well, yeah, you
yeah,
got Agent Carter, but this is the first Disney Plus series. So it makes sense that it would have insanely good music. I didn't watch Agent Carter or Agents of Shield past episode 3, so I don't know if that had good music.
okay. Manning, do you want to add anything about the music of the show?
I just want to keep highlighting it now. There was a really cool video that I was listening to from Artsy Omni a couple days ago. Kind of explains the theme songs and what they have in common. Is it's really just a few chords used together. It's a motif of the WandaVision. You'll have WandaVision, or you'll have WandaVision, WandaVision, or 1+1 is you and me, WandaVision. It's all these different ways they use WandaVision, and you look back and they have almost the exact same chords utilized in a completely different way, different tempo. Like if you go back even to episode 5, the da 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 da, it's like a nice slower version where they bring back some stuff from like the 80s and early 90s. It's really fantastic work where they utilize it in such a way where it's become such a very symbolic motif of it, almost melancholy when you get to the few last episodes. But it's just overall fantastic. And then there's one. Can I talk spoilers? Or are we gonna save for that?
It's been over for a week. Anyone?
You're
We
right.
currently have no watchers, so there's literally no one to piss off.
It's been Agatha all along. Dun
Oh,
dun
God.
dun 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 dun. That
So
peaked on iTunes.
it definitely did. I just want to say, like, this show has the whole mystery, right? And like when the show started, it's the highlight of the heart in August 23rd. Well, when the show finished the first episode, when I was watching it that night, I went to Google August 23rd because I say they're not gonna fool me. I'm gonna know what's happening on the next episode, and they totally fooled the whole fucking internet, especially me. And that mystery in the show make it so great. Like you questioning, like, what's happening next? What's happening next? What's happening? Do you get into the what 7 episode, right? It's when everything's
Mhm.
revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're always wondering and you're looking for clues and everything.
It also didn't help that the cast gave a bunch of bullshit stuff, so we would all theorize, and then they're like, "Why were you guys theorizing?" It's like, "Well, you did it to us." Luke Skywalker
Yeah,
cameo,
yeah.
my ass.
See, the thing is, I literally stayed clear and far away from anything that the cast was saying, or anything from anyone was saying until after I'd watched everything because I wanted to go into this blind. I usually don't do that, but I went into that and I was just kind of like, okay, wow. I mean, looking back, there are a couple things I'm kind of like, why'd y'all do that? Because I looked at what they said in the past, and now I'm like, and while it didn't ruin my enjoyment for anything. Looking back, there were a couple things with some people named Ralph that I was not a fan of, but other than that, we'll talk about that later.
I
Okay,
mean,
so I have.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you go.
Go ahead, man.
No,
You
I
can
was
go.
gonna say. I mean, I wasn't really theorizing like super terribly about that. I just think that like, I mean, like lines like the aerospace engineer that ended up being nothing. So why'd you even have that in there? Which we apparently found out was a late addition, and the whole like, oh, there's a Luke Skywalker level cameo in it. It's just like, oh, this
I heard that.
like. And I wasn't even really, honestly, when it came to that Luke Skywalker camera in the aerospace, I wasn't even really theorizing to the levels that other people were. The most I was theorizing about was honestly, if it's not Wanda, who is it? That was the most. And technically, I kind of got it right since I thought it was Catherine Hahn. But yeah, but I just hate when shows do that because they're like, oh, well, we want to create discussion, so we gotta have things to have people theorize, and then like there's like like it's one thing to have like a theory, like to have people theorizing stuff, and I can't think of a good example at the top of my head, and then to have an answer and it to just be people pissed off because it wasn't their answer. Like, that's your own fault. But this was a case of they got people theorizing to talk about the show, and then there were just non-answers. Like I messaged Abe about this because they said like she gets a text and she's like, "Oh, who's the driver?" And I texted him and I was like, "Didn't they say something?" I was like, "Yeah," because then they get there and she's driving it. So I'm like, "Why did you have that line?" And apparently the white vision being the Luke Skywalker fan, I'm like, how the fuck is that like Luke
That
Skywalker?
was ridiculous.
Like, how was that a Luke Skywalker style cameo? Did you watch Mandalorian season 2, guys? But that's the only things that's annoyed me, and some of that was outside, but it was the aerospace driver one. I was just like, why'd you have that if there was no answer to it? It just seemed like something to create discussion because you're releasing the show week to week in order to have discussion week to week, so people are still talking about your show, only to have non-answers and then to have people being like, "Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't theorize." It's like, well, they kind of wanted us to.
You know, I think that's the beauty of television, like regular television, of getting an episode each week. Okay, I don't know if you guys, I didn't grow up in this, but you know that whole Lost thing, the finale of Lost. I don't know if you
Yeah.
were,
I didn't
I
watch
don't know if
Lost,
you
but
were,
I knew people who
but you
were
know,
watching it at the time
there's a
that the
whole,
finale aired.
like I've heard about it online for, well, for years now, since I've been online, if you will say so. Like, there were theories the whole show, like what's happening, and at the end people got disappointed because I don't know how it ends for the end of Lost finale, and that's on the audience. It's themselves, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
bec- because they, sorry.
No. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Our host, where did he go?
Manning, while he's doing that, what did you not like about WandaVision, if any? Oh, yep,
Sorry.
he's
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll hold that.
Sorry. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah. Well, yeah, that we just wanted to comment about all that TV. That's the beauty, you know. You have theorizing. I have my own theories, like nothing I watch online or anything. And I read posts. I wasn't Reddit for a good while. Every time I watch the episode on Twitter, I stay awake a good, I don't know, hour just seeing the reactions of the whole people and saying, "Oh, this happened. This happened. This
Yeah.
not happen."
Mhm.
It's the fun of the show. But Manny, Franks,
Yes.
or Maximus in this case.
Manning
You
Maximoff.
what
I'm the third child.
why what you did not enjoy as much in One Division?
Yeah. I think this is the issue that most MCU films that can agree that well, I feel like there is a consensus among people who watch the MCU films is that there's a particular formula that happens, and sometimes they'll have those gotcha moments in films where like it was actually this person all along, and I don't think the Agatha reveal was like that. I do. I do think somehow it fell into the trope when we get closer to the end of like, oh, all along it really was, she really didn't steal the Vision. Spoiler alert. They remade him into White Vision. That stuff like that. I've never been a big fan of twists that feel almost unearned, because while I wanted this really to just be, I wanted her to experience that grief. Wanda is such a complex and broken and shattered character. She's literally been, out of almost every character in the entire MCU, she has literally been through the worst. She is probably one of the most tragic childhoods of all time. Her parents dying from a civil war that's happening in her own country, watching them die in front of you, having to watch them sit in days waiting for a bomb to explode, having your own brother shot to death years later, and then having to kill the man you love. She's had it really rough, and
only
this show,
to have it brought back to life several seconds later, just watch him die again.
Someone else kill him. Oh,
and
that's the worst.
You don't even get the satisfaction of killing the guy that did it, because as you saw Endgame, that Thanos didn't even know who Vision was.
I don't
So
even know
not even
who
like
you
you
are.
can get the satisfaction really doing it.
She's like, oh, you will. Oh, great moment. But anyway, it's fascinating because her character goes through so much grief and she has to live with that trauma and she has to somehow utilize it, and Wanda becomes the most compelling character, and the series to me is the most compelling when it's her and Vision and her kids and the people who live in Westview personally. That's when it's at its highest moments, and everything outside is cool and all. Darcy's funny. I love me some Randall Park. Love me some Randall Park, and that's great and all. But every time we were out there or doing something with the Sword or the FBI, I wanted to go back into Westview and experience her emotional turmoil that she has by manifesting itself into her vision. Literally, it's her vision. And that's what I find the cool thing about the title. It's her vision of reality, and it's clever and it's cheesy, but it works because she has the power to distort and change reality into something she wants to have because she longs for it so much. And I think it succeeds so much when we get to that moment. I just wish we had more of those moments, because episode 4, people were like, "Oh, it's so cool." I'm like, I like it when it's not one full thing and we get to go back and forth a little bit. And maybe that's for me where it falls, is when it gets into the big bombastic nature. Now, that said, the finale felt incredibly earned, and some big, great, fantastic CGI sequences that felt like they were ripped out of an actual Marvel movie in the theaters. Sign me up. I just wish they could find a balance, and I just had some parts that I loved more than I did. But I think overall, there's not many parts that I really don't like.
Okay. I think this is where what I didn't like about the show, and I think it's that character moments that make the show, as you mentioned, like all those little spots of Wanda and Vision and their kids and everything. And when they get to this big action sequence, when we were waiting, we were teased and everything, that this whole explosion, it just felt out of place for me.
No,
Like,
yeah.
even though I wanted to see it and I was excited to watch it, and I was like, yeah, fucking Catherine Hahn, she's rockstar and everything. I just she is like, we're gonna go into her because I really want to comment about the whole
Wait,
Agatha
what?
thing and
Please,
everything.
yes.
We're gonna go into her? I'm all for that.
Would you like to rephrase that, Abe?
No, we're gonna cover Agatha.
Nice. We're gonna cover
No,
her.
try
That's good
again.
too.
Try again, please.
Uh, I don't know. I have so many more
Talk
questions
about
in my
her.
notes. Okay, we're gonna talk about her.
There
Whatever.
you go.
But I think that was like, it feels weird, but the formulaic, if you will call it, Marvel moments, were the worst part of the show. If you have to put a negative, like the whole Hayward thing, is like just
Ugh.
another
Yeah,
generic villain. Like,
traditional
it
villain.
worked, and by the end, he just gets stopped right away. Like, his whole role in the show is to, hey, I create a new vision, so we
His
can have
whole
some
role
conflict
in
later.
the show was to be, for the outside world, to be like that force that's stopping great, now her name is escaping me. She's the aerospace
Monica
pilot.
Rambeau.
Monica, yeah, to just stop Monica from being able to get back in immediately after she comes out. That's literally, and then he creates Vision. He's the type of, and not even just Marvel, I'm saying this is just general movies and TV villains. He's the type of ones I hate, to where there's just nothing interesting about him. Like, there's just nothing interesting. He's just like there to be a roadblock, and not even like a fun roadblock like you get in I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example from a
With
movie.
Rosa.
Oh, okay, like Crossbones at the beginning of Civil War. He's technically just a roadblock, but they went to the trouble of having him have been a shield agent in Winter Soldier, and him and Cap have this history and all this, that when he's a roadblock at the beginning of Civil War, it's already something built into it. And so it makes that roadblock moment not just like a random thing. Whereas this guy, he's never been in any of the Marvel movies before. He's just like boring businessman who shoots at kids randomly. Like, out of nowhere, he's just
Dang.
like, boom, boom. Like, they didn't do anything to the soldiers. And
Because
he's
he's
just like,
evil, Matt.
but that's the thing. But that's just like one of those things to where it's like, I can just imagine the writers room to where they're like, Hayworth, he doesn't seem evil enough. What's like a
It's
really evil thing? Well, the dog's already dead, so I guess try to kill the kids. Everyone okay with that? Okay, yeah,
it's
all right.
already dead.
Well, yeah, no, because look,
Spoilers.
there's two things in film that if you kill, you're evil. It's dogs and any other animal essentially, and kids. If you kill one or both of those, you're super evil. No one cares about killing adults. You can kill adults, no one gives a shit. Watch the Mad Max movies. Everyone cares in Road Warrior when the dog dies and the feral kid almost dies. No one cares when all the other people are dying in that movie because that's how we work. But yeah, Hayworth kind of sucked.
Okay, so we're gonna kill those from now on. So we don't care. Okay, but like what I was about to say. Okay, so
You're the
we're
one with the
about
notes,
35
Abe.
minutes in, and we haven't commentable, which is the highlight of the show for me. It's Catherine fucking Hahn. We just talk a little bit. I want 15 minutes of just talking how great Hahn is.
Wait,
Like,
didn't you just say that like Elizabeth Olsen stole the scene from everyone she was
okay,
with?
okay,
Just
okay,
Abe's
okay,
changing his mind.
okay. I'm a person and I can change opinions in about 30 minutes if you say so.
it hasn't even been 10
No,
minutes.
no, but like, no, all credit to Elizabeth Olsen. If I were to rank honestly, like objectively, we would say so it would be Elizabeth and then Catherine fucking Hunt. I'm gonna tell you why. She is just magnetic for the whole show. Every appearance she has, every every time she walks from the door, then hey, what's up? I mean, she doesn't say that, but every that how do they call it? The noisy neighbor? She plays that role fantastically. And when she turns into Agatha with that song, I rewatched that part of the show many times after it came out because the whole opening based on it's the monster, right? The monster series. I was so into it, but Manny, tell me, why is Catherine Ham perfect for
I
the show?
mean, not as Hannah Montana had told us all those years ago, nobody is perfect. However, Catherine Hahn does steal many scenes that she is in, and I'm going to counter contradict myself, much as Abe contradicted himself. But Catherine Hahn, I think I'll admit I haven't seen so much with her in it. Like I'm not a big comedy guy, so I don't really go out to see a lot of the comedies. The stuff that I have seen her in is A Private Life. Shocker, shocker. But she was phenomenal as a dramatic actress. And seeing her in this, she has this wonderful. That GIF is now iconic. Be like, of her going around there. And it just kind of shows she was born to play. She was born to play a character that was over the top in most instances. She literally plays a character that is kind of over the top in the sense of where she came from and everything. But she also has these moments of vulnerability. And I think that's also a testament to what comedic actors can usually do. And she does that in spades. Yes, of course, at the very end, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, we saw that coming. But she is Agnes, the nosy neighbor. I think she did a beautiful job, and I look forward to because they didn't kill her off. They did not kill her off. Literally, Wanda says, "I know where to find you should I need you." And if y'all read the comics, y'all know that at the very end of the day, Agatha was the one to help teach Wanda a little more about her powers. So maybe we get some reluctant partnership in the future, in Multiverse of Madness, because we all know that Wanda's coming back. Is Agatha coming back for that one? I'm not sure. I doubt it. Actually, it's already a crowded film, but that's something they can put in their back pocket in for future
Yeah,
reference.
but Sam Raimi knows all about making crowded films.
Okay,
Spider-Man.
Oh.
Just
because
saying.
my thing when Agatha was revealed is was like, of course, because I think, well, I pretty much sure that it was Agatha Harness, Agnes. Makes so much sense. But like, you don't cast that great of an actress of Catherine Hahn, that caliber, and as you say, we haven't seen her in many comedies. She's getting the spotlight from the Batman's movies, where she's incredible. Like, and the second one is not that good, but
She's
she's
also
still
incredible in Parks and Rec.
well. That too, I haven't watched it,
Oh, Jennifer
but
Barkley. Yes. Oh.
but she makes so
Poncho.
many. You know, this is gonna get about to get weird because I wrote this.
Oh,
Agatha has so
this is
many
when it gets weird
questions.
for you, Abe? Okay.
No, no, weird. Because I wrote on my notes. I'm gonna read it exactly how I read it. So many questions from Agatha: decor, wardrobe, seduction techniques, homemade dildo, tongue tie. an oral sex joke, impress the husband and wife, all the sex tension between all the things. There's so many fucking sex jokes hidden in this show, which is crazy. And you're gonna tell me they have a baby? They create a baby later in the show, but they make those kind of jokes, and they don't did not fly over my head. I just want. You're muted, Manny. I just wanted to make the moment a little weird right now. That's what I wrote.
You're
Okay,
right. I noticed when I watched it again, there were a lot of like hidden innuendos from Agatha in
exactly.
particular. And I'm like, they had stuff for the kids and for the adults.
Okay, so I actually bought a kid once. So Matt, this is your question for you. Have you ever beaten a kid?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever beaten a children, a child? Have you experienced
Beaten
one of
a
those?
kid? No, I can't
Yes.
say I've ever, in all my years of having went through high school, making my living as a babysitter, I never once beat a kid. No.
Okay, okay. So that's important question. What do you think about Catherine Khan in the show?
Catherine Hahn is great. I thought she filled the role of noisy neighbor, which if you know anything about those old sitcoms, like um, not so much Bewitched didn't have one so much, but I know like I Dream of Jeannie and I Love Lucy and the
Mm-hmm.
Honeymooners, they all had the noisy neighbor who would always show up, and would always be there for something comedic, and they would always walk through the door because back in the 50s, I guess people never locked their freaking doors, and they were always there to be there at the wrong time. She felt that role great, and I should let people know. Um, I never really got much into Marvel comics beyond Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. So like I don't know all these characters, so like I didn't know who Agatha Harkness, like I didn't know who that was. She wasn't in Fantastic Four or Spider-Man, really, or at least none that I was reading when I was younger. So like I just kind of thought, you know, she was sus. But then they had that moment in the Halloween episodes where it was like, oh no, that's just them making us think one thing, but it's not, because she had that great acting moment, and then they just turned it on us again. I've probably watched the moment Agatha All Along clipped out like 20 times because it is such a catchy song. And the way she plays it in that, to where she's just like, to where there's just all the moments to where she's just like, and she,
It's
like
great.
everything. It's fantastic. When she's sitting in the director's chair, when she was one asking questions, she's like, and the moment in the when they're doing the tribute to the 80s and 90s sitcoms, when she's like, do you want me to go back to first position? Like, just the way she kind of breaks character for a second,
Mm-hmm.
it was fantastic. So she was great throughout the entire show. I kind of was thinking, again, not knowing anything from Marvel, I thought she was going to be Dr. Octopus because she voiced Dr. Octopus in Into the Spider-Verse.
Hmm.
And I thought, because of all the multiverse stuff, I was like, oh, is that because maybe, because at the end of multiverse Spider-Verse, she gets pulled into that machine. So I thought, oh, is this her repurposed into this universe? Maybe, but it wasn't.
That's a
That
thought.
But that was where my
that,
mind was going. But yeah, no, she
that
was
was
great in the show.
that
And look, Manning, you said it before, and I think I'll agree. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that
Everybody
way.
gets that way.
Sometimes I'm in the gym. I gotta make a plan.
Hey,
It might be crazy.
hey, the
I
ship.
do it
You have
anyway.
to steer it
No way
back.
to know for sure. I
okay. Sorry,
figure
sorry.
out a
Stay
cure.
on track. Stay on track. Stay on track.
Stay on
Okay.
target.
Nobody's
Guys, is it okay
perfect.
if we
I
can
gotta
talk
work
about?
it.
And we're 44 minutes in, and we already have a frog. So I'm gonna call another guy. This guy really loves Stallone, and we're gonna give it an opinion. But after this segment, I want to talk about Quicksilver Recast, because I think
Yes.
this is where the most questions came in. Like when we actually see Evan Peters appear on screen, we were like, okay, this is getting something weird, and we got a fucking boner at the end, literally.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
So, Manny, what do you? Well, I'm gonna give my thoughts first. I thought this was the most wasted thing on the show. I guess they set something up and they truly didn't do anything with it. It was just a joke. Like, so based on the logic of the show, are witches able to give powers to other individuals, because we see Evan, well, Ralph Boner speed, using his powers, like Quicksilver powers, and like so Wanda can give powers to everybody. Can I get to do the same? So that's where so many questions came to me when I watched it. Like, so he's just a guy. I have no problem with, it was kind of a meta joke, but it was really like that leave you more questions than answers. Like, because Evan Peters, I guess it was literally just for the joke. So Manny, what do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Carlos Morales of IGN said it was a hollow move, and I have to agree with that because it felt more like of a hey, I know him. Was it a fun Easter egg? Yes. Do I think it was a missed opportunity? Absolutely, even more. Yes, they could have used that. They could have been like, and in fact, they still may utilize it. They still may be like, hey, this was a temporal shift in time, and yes, he just happens to be another alternate version of someone. I don't know, but at this point, they used it for basically a joke that is made by 10-year-olds. And I would have. It just did not. It was kind of he was ultimately made as a joke or a prank or what have you. It's like, ha, prank, bro. It was not. It was not. I was not. I did not enjoy it. I was not. I loved him. I loved Evan Peters and this rendition of Pietro Maximoff, and I would love to see him again. It was a wonderful treat to be able to see him utilized in this way. And also, does he have powers? Maybe in this. Maybe in this Westview he does, and once he leaves it, he loses it or something. There's something I don't know. I'm not gonna try to explain it. I'm not sure how that works, and I don't think the writers did either.
Yeah, this is where the show. Well, I said it's where it gets lost, like on their own, trying to make a joke, and really, I don't think it worked, because you could have cast somebody else, to make this thing.
Yeah.
It's a meta joke at the end, and I think it's, as I mentioned, it may be the audience fault because we're creating our own expectations of what's gonna happen, and you say, well, you cast Evan Peters for something. He may not be like. It would make more sense for me, like he end up being, like how you call it, like working for Agnes, like, and a demon or whatever he could have been. But this is where the show really missed the landing, other than the Hayward stuff. But Matt, tell me, did
I,
Quicksilver?
it was the
What
dumbest
happened?
thing in the world. It was so. Uh, People were trying to compare it to the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. But the difference is that it's not like they got the Mandarin from some previous Marvel project to come back and do it. That was a complete creation for that movie. Because even the Mandarin in that wasn't the same Mandarin from the comics. I think this was, they knew exactly what they were doing. Bringing in Evan Peters to play Quicksilver, they knew exactly what people were thinking, and to just set it up for literally a boner joke. And it was so dumb. And what it did was, instead of growing the universe, and the whole thing of this leads into Doctor Strange and the multiverse and all of this, like, what a great way to, you now have these Fox characters, and so you have a multiverse kind of existing, because instead of like having to create your own alternate versions of these Marvel characters, you already have pre-existing alternate versions that people know. And kind of what a brilliant way to bridge the gap, to be like, oh, so the X-Men movies, they're just in, to use DC terminology, they're just an Earth 2 that we've been watching, not an Earth 1. What a great,
Mm-hmm.
oh, no, it was just a boner joke. Ha 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 ha. It's so
What are
dumb.
we?
And
5.
it annoyed me because, and I know this is my own fault, um, it annoyed me because I thought this was. I honestly thought that Doctor Strange was pulling him in to help Wanda. Like, I thought it was something to where he pulled a Quicksilver from another multiverse, because that's the only person who could get through to Wanda. Like, I thought there was going to be something really interesting about that, but it wasn't. I will say his full episode, the Halloween special, I thought Evan Peters was great. I loved the self-referential where he's like, I don't know, I'm just a guest star for a holiday episode. I don't know. Like, I thought that was all great. I thought that moment at the end when he makes the comment about he's like, how could your dead husband die again? She just flings him back into the pillar was fantastic. But yeah, at the end of the day, to just shrink the universe, and this is the second time Marvel has done this. The first time they did it was in Spider-Man Far From Home. In that, it was fine because that was the whole point of that character of to with everything Mysterio, like to have it be him pretend he's from the multiverse. Here you had an actual opportunity to do it, and you made a joke.
Manning, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, everything that Quicksilver had in here was golden. Evan Peters, I think, brought out some great things from Elizabeth Olsen, and I think they had a wonderful dynamic, especially when you figure out what that means to her character seeing that again. And while I think sometimes some of the supporting characters kind of lagged, the highlights, of course, were the main title characters, Wanda and Vision. And everything with them was absolutely golden. I just remember that scene. Just go back to your but we lost Matt. Just go back to that scene. When they first were seeing Quicksilver, or when he was coming in for the first time, and he was like, Pietro. You look at that entire scene. I think it was episode 4 or 5. Correct? I might be wrong, but I think it's 5. It was episode 5. They're having that argument. He's 5 figuring things out. And that might be my favorite episode personally. And they're fighting. They're getting into it. They're like, they're starting. And then the next thing you know, she's like, Pietro? And you're like, what in the world's going on? Who's this guy with his hair? No way. They knew what they were doing. And even if it was just a fun Easter egg, they could have done so much more. And it's wasted potential. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not going to cry about it. It's just kind of like, you could have done more than just this simple joke.
Exactly,
they'd set up.
Exactly. I think we've said enough about Pietro. It's how they were calling it. Pietro.
Pietro.
Fake
Pietro. So. They recast him.
But Manny, I think we have talked about many characters. Well, probably the third most important characters in the series after Wanda and Vision are the children. Because that was a big tease from the comic. And I have to say, I don't think they cast the best children actors. They were kind of off a little bit.
They were fine.
Yeah, they were fine for what they were doing, but I wasn't not that much fan of the kids. You know what they mean. They're probably gonna grow up later. They're probably trying to set up a new Avengers movie because they have so many characters coming in Ironheart and everything. They probably are more than a setup, and we listen to them at the end of the show. But Matt, I know you just went to pee, so tell me, what do you think about the children, the twins? I don't think they were probably they were monozygotic twins because they don't look like each other. They were male, so.
I liked them. I thought they were good. I thought they had some really great moments in the 80s episode when they find Sparky dead and they're gonna age themselves up, and Wanda stops them and is like, no, you can't, you have to, this is part of growing up. The Halloween episode, they were great. I liked, as a kid who grew up Zack and Cody, I got a lot of Zack and Cody vibes in that episode from them. Like, I got a lot of, one's the rebel, one's the more by the books. And then the last episode, I thought they were also really good. And I'm really interested to see, because they're definitely getting brought back in some capacity. I'm interested to see what that is. And yeah, and the quote about them, that their father's vision, so they're born with thick skin. I was like, that's a really clever joke there. Because there's always said that, oh, you inherit this from your parents. I was like, that is a genuinely clever joke. But it also makes me think, was Vision, was he created with,
well, Anyway,
I'm
I
just
have no answer to
saying.
that.
How thick are his Sokovian Accords? I'm just wondering.
That is not what I expected to hear tonight. I'll never watch Captain Marvel: The Civil War ever again.
Look,
Captain America. Wow.
If I was one, I would want to hold it by two hands. That's what I was gonna say.
Anyway.
Guys,
Okay, but
we're about an hour in. I don't want to cut off. But I just want to mention, also an important character. There's so many great characters in the show, like the whole Monica thing. I really love her. Tayana Paris
Yeah.
is the name of the actress,
great.
if I'm not mistaken. I think she's set up perfectly for what they're thinking of do with Monica and the Captain Marvel. She's fought on. Well,
yes.
I don't know if you respect her, depending how you want to call it. I don't. She can take any name. But I really like her story. I thought sure it was the weakest, but herself, like parts, like I was always floored by her. Like I thought she really make a great job, and like I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with her. So Matthew Kearns, Matthew Edward Kearns. That's your whole name, correct?
Nope.
Okay, don't tell me your
John.
whole name. I don't care.
John. Oh.
Matthew John, after my father.
Manning Peyton Maximo.
No, but okay.
Whoever wants to answer these. So, what do you think about Monica? What do you expect to see from her? Like,
I thought she was really good. I was not a fan of Captain Marvel, the movie. Not at all. So I didn't even. I've seen it once, so I didn't even the whole. I had to watch a Mr. Sunday Movies video on her first episode to be like, oh, that's supposed to be the little girl from Captain Marvel. Great.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated in her. I might see Captain Marvel 2 now for her. Because the way she talks about Captain Marvel and her mother and all this, she's gonna be pissed when she meets Captain Marvel again. I think there's definitely something they're setting up with her. But yeah, she was the underdog. Which I mean, I love underdogs in movies and television, and she certainly was that. And what I really liked was that the fact that she understood that even if this was Wanda's doing, there wasn't really evil intentions behind it. And I thought that was something really smart to keep in mind, especially when you get to that last moment between her and Wanda, when the whole town is looking at Wanda. It's like to have one character who kind of, even though she kind of does, and that's the thing. I like that you start with her mother dead, and she comes back from the snap. So
That was really good.
she's kind of the only person who can kind of understand what Wanda's going through and get that, like, what you did was bad, but you didn't do it. You know, it wasn't like she was like Red Skull trying to take over the world or something. You know, like this was born out of suffering and an upsetness that, you know, Monica herself was feeling. I'm fascinated to see where this character goes, because obviously at the end, her and the Skrull go up to space. Does she hook up with Nick Fury on the Skrull ship, or you know what? Because I mean, unless. Well, did he leave the Skrull ship at the end? I don't know. There's something with the Skrulls and Nick Fury. We don't know, but I'm fascinated to find out. But Monica was great.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I was going to add also as well that I think that she was an excellent, and I think she was a great natural foil, I feel like. And then us finding out about her, I think, was also really cool. For as much as I didn't care for the stuff that happened outside of the Westview, I think how we found out about her and trying to learn about that entire interaction we had, where it was like, who are you? And she's like, what are you talking about? We learn from those moments when it's like, oh, okay, the tension started to get a little more. And then once we started to see her, I think they did a really good job incorporating the snap. For as interesting as it is to learn about how it happened, and I think learning about how it happened 5 years ago, and now here she is again, they did a great representation of that. Just imagine how complete this utter shock you would feel, and I truly can't wait to see what they continue to do with her, Monica, because I've read her in the comics, and I think she's a really interesting character, but she's never been one I gravitated towards. But with this, I'm looking forward to what Feige and the Marvel bunch are going to do with Captain Marvel too, and her in it.
Oh, so I wanted to mention that I totally forgot about that opening scene of episode 4. Like it truly that was probably one of the most powerful scenes, other than
Really
what
powerful.
happened in episode 8.
Mm.
Like you truly get the reality of the people in the real people. You will say the population had to go through that moment when people come back and when people are begging like what's happening. Everything's going crazy, and I think it's one of those things they're gonna keep visiting through all the MCU. That moment of the snap, because well, it was like literally a universal event that affected a ton of lives, and I think we're gonna keep visiting those moments and show the reality of the heroes we're about to see. Because well, what's gonna? I bet you in Ant-Man, what's gonna happen
Jimmy Woo,
with
I think.
yeah, well, with Cassie
Detective Woo.
Lang. What? Yeah, no,
Oh.
with King. Like what? How she felt with her mother, because we're gonna see her in Ant-Man Quantumania. But I'm gonna try
Monica's
to
gonna be
wrap.
in Ant-Man 3?
No. I mean Cassie Lang. Okay, hear me.
Yeah,
Like
okay, Casey, his daughter. Yeah.
yeah, she survived the snap, and probably we're gonna see a flashback of that because we're gonna keep visiting the snap. But I'm going to try to wrap this in the next 15 minutes because we've gone over an hour. So let's go. I
Welcome to
think
my
I
world.
don't know if you agree with me, but the most beautiful episode of the show was episode 8, when Wanda goes back and
Yeah.
gets the whole reality. That was the most powerful episode. That's where you
That
totally
was the episode
understand
I
why.
said she should win an Emmy for. Was that
Yeah,
episode?
she's there is where you totally understand the character and break down, like from her child, who was Manning mentioned earlier, like the trauma of seeing her parents die and being trapped with
Jeez.
his father and everything, and the experimentation and how, and it makes sense of the sitcom. But I remember, like that's where she felt like that's her family moment. We all have those moments. I don't know, when you go fishing with your dad, or where you I don't know what you guys did with your parents. We all have those moments with that we share as a family, and that's where that was the episode that you just had a knot on your throat the whole time because you wanted to cry, you wanted to explode, and they kind of did. So I just want to see your thoughts overall on that episode, like that one. It's it has the most powerful phrase in the show, and I think that one's gonna stick for a lot of us for the rest of our life. What's grief if not love persevering, something like that. I
That's a
think
good
I'm
one.
paraphrasing. Yeah, so
I
Manny,
love how
I
Abe
want to
says
give
it's
you
gonna
that.
stick with him and he can't even quote it.
Well, something like that.
It's no, you're right. That is 100% what it was, Abe.
Sorry, take it that bitch. So Manny, well, give me just few thoughts. What you think about that last episode? Then we're gonna wrap up.
What I think, I take those last 2 episodes in like a 1-2 because literally they
Yeah,
kind of tie right into each
Mhm.
other. That was a really powerful line. It goes up right against like Vision has some really great lines. I think it was like a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts from like Ultron. I believe
Yeah,
is what it was. Age of
right
Ultron.
at the end when he's talking to the final Ultra, which is one
Great
of my
scene.
favorite scenes in the MCU.
By far. And this is another great scene of just a calm moment. See, shows and movies, when you have those calm moments of just 2 characters just talking and conversing with each other, you can have some really powerful moments. And like, this was a beautiful representation of that. The relationship between Wanda and Vision has grown so much with this series. We get little glimpses of it in the movies, but it has blossomed in this series. Like, I was weeping at that last episode. I remember crying one time in a Marvel film, and that was Endgame. After an entire so many years, I'm seeing these characters pass in front of me. Well, a character pass in front of me, another one kind of giving up his mantle. Regardless, this was one where I was like, wow, this is another Marvel property that is bringing me to tears. It is beautiful. It is poignant. And despite all the bombastic pew, 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 the moments of Wanda letting go of Vision, or the moments of Wanda, like, just like, when she builds everything from her grief, she builds an entire world from her grief. and then finally letting that grief go, I think is one of the most powerful stories to be told in a Marvel and Universal to hear. And they do such a great job. And Olsen, I truly, truly hope she and Bettany are in this contention, because Bettany also has some wonderful moments of just kind of surrendering to, like, I am merely a memory, something you have created. And the Ship of Theseus thing, which is kind of fun, not gonna lie, that was really fun to hear. And watching her life like that and seeing where she's been through. Wanda Maximoff is a broken character, but she is a character who is not alone, even if she feels it, because Vision literally is with her always. Her brother is with her always. The memory of her parents are with her always. And she's a persevering character, and why she might be one of my favorite characters in the entire MCU after this.
Matt, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. I think it was a pure stroke of brilliance, because everyone was like, you know, from the trailers, why is WandaVision, like, why is it all like old TV shows that she's recreating? I thought it was a pure stroke of brilliance to have that was a collective moment for her family, that's what they would do, and that there's something about that was the last thing they were doing before her world was destroyed. And that there's something poignant about when her world kind of came to an end, she reverted back to that same comfort place. And there is something that we all connect to with that. I think everyone has those movies or those shows or those soundtracks that we listen to during the really bad times. And that's essentially what this was, except she lived it instead of rewatched it. And the bombasticness of the final battle and the conversation between the two visions is great, but it's really those last two scenes to where she puts the kids to bed and she says goodbye to Vision. To pull the curtain back a little bit, 2021 hasn't been a fun year for me. And I've connected to that last scene so much. Saying goodbye sucks. And that line means a lot. Because to have to just relive that from Wanda, I can't even imagine. And you know, there's just something about this show. I think it was an extremely, incredibly well done. And I seriously, sincerely mean I think Elizabeth Olsen for episode 8, because the way they played, every time they cut her in from her younger self back in, and she has that moment of that she kind of just had to relive that, and watching her and Vision watch Malcolm in the Middle, and just she one of my favorite actors is Gene Hackman. She plays a lot like how Gene Hackman plays stuff, to where Gene Hackman never really gets down on his knees and starts bawling and doing. He, a lot of times, if you watch his movies, he plays things extremely subtle. And so many of those moments when she realizes she plays it so subtle, and she does get the big scream moment, but most of that episode is just the very subtle sadness, because her life has been nothing but, you know, when she's happy she's with her family, they die, and then she's happy she's with his brother and he dies, and then she's happy she's with the Avengers, and then that gets screwed up, and then she's happy and she's with Vision, and then he dies, and then she's alone. And it's Elizabeth Olsen is just incredible in the show. Yeah. I do have to say, though, I think my favorite moment from the whole episode was definitely didn't your mom tell you all to go to bed?
Oh, wow. That meme. That meme.
Take it out. You say everything great. Guys, we're about 110 right now, and we can continue for another 50 minutes if we say so, because I think there's a ton of things we still gotta talk about. But if you wanna give me final thoughts, and then we're gonna go to a special segment of the show I have planned for you guys that you did not know. So, Manny, final thoughts on WandaVision overall. Like, if you have to grade it by tomatoes, how many? No, not tomatoes. By I don't
Tomatoes.
know. But no,
By
by
television
shoe
sets?
cleaners. No, by shoe cleaners. It's a shoe cleaner.
I don't think I've ever used a shoe cleaner in my life.
Well, I have. I clean my shoes. Well, my sneakers.
Okay. Well,
Out of 10, how many shoe cleaners would you give one?
shoot.
No, just kidding. Just no, no. Just overall thoughts about the series overall, and what do you expect to see next? Like, quick question before that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna ask you two questions. What do you think about the show overall at the end? And give me a prediction. Smoke, I'm gonna put you two both on the spot. What does that post-credit scene at the end of the show of Wanda listening to the children, to her children, talking to her, asking for help means? Give me a prediction. What's gonna happen next? Manny, go ahead.
My prediction is that is merely inside her head that we're going to try to tackle, possibly because they were all figments that she has created, but in an alternate universe she has had kids, and maybe she'll go to that universe, but I don't think, because the next episode Wanda's going to have to learn her powers, and the best person, she's confirmed to be in the multiverse of madness, and Doctor Strange somehow is going to have to come to her to learn, or to teach her so she can learn how to control them, because as we've said, she is the most powerful Avenger. And like, if she has her powers unchecked, she could do lasting damage, because she's in a better place than she was, but she's in a darker place, if that makes any sense. Like, she's a lot more like, she's in a better place, but her grief is let go, but she's also more like, okay, this is what I need to do. And with that, I think I'm curious to see how Doctor Strange responds to that. Either way, Doctor Strange is coming, and she better be prepared.
Matt, View, Cairns. Kind
Overall thoughts.
Matt,
I thought this series was incredible. I thought its attention to detail to tributing different eras of television was incredibly well done. If you love any of those shows, it was a great thing. As for character and stuff, it was incredible. I kind of just talked about that. I think to rebut something Manning just said, I don't think her grief is gone so much. To quote another superhero property, Batman Begins, do you still feel responsible for your parents' death? My anger outweighs my guilt. I think that's what we're seeing more by the end. I think it's more her guilt has subsided into something else. And I think there's something about those kids, and I definitely think Doctor Strange is going to come in, and I'm fascinated at the end. Is Wanda gonna be a villain or a ally to Doctor Strange in the multiverse, or is she going to be something he's gonna have to get through? That I'm fascinated, and nothing is making me more exciting than seeing Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen having scenes together. I think those two actors are incredible, and especially if there is a antagonist, protagonist between them, whichever way they want to play it, they're going to play it extremely well.
I see them kind of...
And I mean, it's Sam Raimi directing, which if you know anything about the first two Spider-Man movies, he handles hero and villain scenes extremely well.
Mm-hmm. And I really see it being a mentor-student type of thing, from what I remember Kevin Feige saying at that like D23 thing, like before COVID even happened. And I see that happening. However, I feel like she's going to be teetering this line. And you're right. The grief never really goes away. It just merely transforms into different stages. And I think the stage now that we were in I think she was in denial from what she created, and now she's in a different stage. And I think you're right. Anger is one of those. Because again, the stages of grief vary for everybody. There's no like one particular thing.
It's denial, bargaining, depression, anger, acceptance.
So maybe this is the acceptance is obviously the last one.
Which he tells Kitty, I have two I have two versions: anger and drinking. Maybe
Then
she's in the drinking stage.
maybe she's in that stage, but I don't think she would be that one. But anyway, I think that this is a fantastic series, has its flaws, of course, but overall, it is a wonderful show that is kind of crazy and kooky when it wants to be, but a great homage to series and TV shows of past while being something fresh, new, and different when it wants to be. And it shows the power the Marvel formula has now that we've had a little break. And I'm excited to see where this goes from here.
So I just want to echo what my companions have said. I thought the show was really good. It really gave me that MCU flavor I needed in my life that I didn't know I missed that much. Like I just needed those characters back, be back in that war, in that setup, and bro, I really like it. But now this is the most important segment of the show because I wrote notes for this and I did not follow any of my notes and I wrote so many questions. So we're gonna go into a speed round. I'm
Cool.
gonna ask the questions. You just gotta go easy answers.
Okay.
Okay. So why does Vision does not have a skeleton?
Like, is this like the set to a joke, or
No, you just have to answer quick.
why he doesn't have a skeleton? TV
Yes.
or real vision?
Vision.
Because he's an android. Doesn't
He's
have a
an
skeleton. He's a,
android. He was kind of just
Okay.
built by like robotic cartilage, essentially.
he's a
Okay.
lot of
this
wires
may
and stuff.
be-
There's a whole movie
there's
about it. It's
there may
called
be
Age
some
of Ultron.
serious. Okay, there may be some stupid questions right here, so don't not take anything seriously. Next questions: do you eat eggs past 12 o'clock? Because
I don't eat eggs.
breakfast for dinner, right?
I don't eat
Yes,
You don't
eggs.
eat eggs.
I do.
Why?
Depending on the
Also,
situation.
literally, if you see Gremlins, I have this issue. Anything past 12 a.m. is after 12 o'clock. How do you feed something after midnight? There's no midnight to sit. Fuck Gremlins.
Hey, if you're
Well, after
hungry,
I love the movie.
12
get an
p.m.
egg.
Okay, next question that I found on my notes. Mm, is Norma communist?
What?
Are you a communist?
Me?
Communist?
No, I'm an American. Kill the Russians.
Me? No.
What do you prefer, a raspberry filled donut or a cheese filled donut?
Raspberry.
Yeah, I would say raspberry, but I like Boston cream donuts. So, like,
Okay. Are donuts bread?
no, donuts are not bread.
They're dough.
Yeah, hence the name
That's bread,
donut.
They're of the bread family.
I
They're
guess.
the grain.
I guess
They're like
kind of.
they're in this. Like,
But no,
grain and
pizza's
sweet.
made of dough, and no one calls that bread.
It's bread. Pizza is
Pizza is
partially
not
bread.
bread.
It's partially bread.
Yeah,
It's
well,
basically-
you're from freaking the Carolinas. I'm from New York, so we actually have pizza here.
Hey, we
Okay,
have some great.
Okay.
Hey, you
What
guys have
time
some
is it?
what?
Fine
Papa
pizza.
John's,
Next question,
Domino's,
next
DiGiorno.
Next question. What time is it?
10:09 p.m. for me and
10:09. Yeah.
Manning.
Okay, next question.
Why did you have that in your notes?
What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box? What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Our imagination.
And Gwyneth Paltrow's head. Or was it the
7
baby
sponge-
fetus? Could have been one or the other.
Okay, what's going on with you?
A lot of
Why are
bad
these
shit.
questions? What are you asking? Why are these on your notebook about WandaVision?
They're like pages. Okay, so last question because I noticed that and it was the point of the third episode where I got. Should you eat green papayas? Because you know papayas are usually
No.
orange and they're green in WandaVision.
You should not because I don't think they're ripe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like papayas are pretty related to bananas, and you don't eat green bananas.
Do not. They are not good.
So that we all guys, you get it. You go through a whole episode of a show in Take 3, hosted by me without any sexual reference. Just kidding. I
What
do
are you
like.
talking about? How many sexual references you make to Catherine on?
The innuendos.
Okay, so Manning,
Yes.
Manning,
Yes, Abe.
Manning Alberto Gonzalez Franks. Can you give us your social media and where people can follow you?
I don't think I would call myself Alberto Gonzalez Franks, but you can find me on Twitter at Cine_man. That's CINE_MANN, as well as my YouTube channel, Manning Franks, because I'm boring like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed some of the videos that I have, including one about Evangelion and how it perfectly talks about sci-fi and how we use that to connect to others and how it is used to say something. And also, you can catch me on here hosting Gone with the Wind. So please, I implore you, listen to our next podcast because the Oscar nominations are coming out this Monday. So look forward to those Oscar nominations, and I look forward to seeing what those turn out to be. And since we don't have a Abe, oh, nope, here is Abe. Just kidding.
He's back.
Matthew, Ramon,
Nope.
Perez, Kearns.
I am Irish, so none of that works.
Give me a second. Do you mind bringing Beanie in just for a couple seconds?
Vinny,
Yeah,
you want to hear his thoughts
on?
on WandaVision?
Oh dear.
Yeah, just a couple seconds.
Okay.
Can you bring him in?
Yeah. 1 second. Let me wake him up.
Why?
Okay.
Beanie,
One
come
Vinny,
second, everybody.
he's up. He's up. He's ready to go. Ask him
Okay.
what you want to ask him.
Beanie, can you give us your review of WandaVision in less than 1 minute?
Hey, what's up? This Vinny here. WandaVision fucking sucked because Stallone wasn't in it. He was in Guardians 2. He could have been in the freaking Marvel thing, but they didn't put him in the freaking Marvel thing, so it sucked.
I love this guy so much. Thank you, Vinny. So Matthew, Perez, Kearns. I don't remember the first names I gave you. Give us your social media, whatever you want to plug.
You guys, as always, can find me at Kearns_Math on Twitter. Matt Movies 611 on YouTube. I actually have a video I'm working on for that channel about a movie in the MCU. So keep posted to that. And right here, I host 2 shows. Second Look and the Fandom Podcast. Episodes for those will be coming out in sometime soon, and you can also find me all around on different shows around here as well.
So my name is Abraham John Smith Flores, and that be all for
Nope.
today.
Why are you saying no? You don't know. That could be his full name.
I am like I'm 99% sure it's not.
You can follow me
Why?
today.
Because he's Mexican?
Because that's not what his name says in the chat. It's Flores.
That's fair enough.
Bye, guys. Thank you for seeing this show.
It was
Do you guys
Agatha all
mind
along.
Do you guys mind dancing while we finish?
It was Agatha.
All along.